Said, do you know what hurts the most? Not when strangers betray you, but when your own family breaks your trust. Pause. My story begins in a small town where life was simple, but emotions ran deep. My father was a hard-working man, respected by everyone in the neighborhood. He wasn't rich, but what he had was earned through sweat, sacrifice, and sleepless nights. For him, family was everything. For him, his word was a promise carved in stone. Moved. As a child, I remember sitting beside him under the old oak tree in our yard. He would place his hand on my shoulder and say, "Son, one day this land will be yours. I worked hard for it, not just to build a house, but to build your future." His words sank into my heart like a seed planted in fertile soil. It wasn't just about the land. It was about trust, love, and legacy. I grew up dreaming of that future. Every corner of the land had a memory. My first steps in the field, my first fall while running, my laughter echoing across the wheat as my father watched proudly. It wasn't just soil, it was life. It was belonging. Pause. My mother often reminded me, no matter how hard life gets, family will always stand by you. And I believed her. I believed that blood was stronger than greed, stronger than lies. I believed that promises made by family would never be broken. But life has a cruel way of teaching lessons, a way of testing faith in ways you never expect. My father's health began to decline. He became weaker with every passing day, yet his eyes still carried the strength of a man determined to protect his son's tomorrow. Sad. On his deathbed, he held my hand tight, his voice trembling but his words clear. "Don't worry, my son. This land will always be yours. It is my gift to you, my promise." Tears rolled down my cheeks as I whispered back, "I will honor it, Father. I will never let it go." When he closed his eyes for the last time, I felt like the light in my life dimmed forever. The man who had carried me on his shoulders was gone, leaving behind not just sorrow, but a sacred promise. For days, I could not eat, could not sleep. My mind replayed his last words over and over. That land wasn't just a piece of property, it was the last thread tying me to my father's soul. Little did I know, the thread was about to be cut. Not by strangers, but by the very people who shared my blood. Angry. The betrayal did not strike like lightning, it crept in slowly, like poison spreading through water. It began with whispers, relatives visiting more often than usual, papers being shuffled in dark corners, conversations silenced when I walked into the room. At first, I ignored it. I thought grief had simply brought us closer. I thought my family was mourning together. But then I saw the signs. My uncle speaking with lawyers, my cousin avoiding my gaze, documents being locked away in drawers. Said one evening, I asked my uncle directly, "What's happening with Father's land?" He promised it to me. He looked at me with a cold smile and said, "Promises are words. Papers are power. Your father may have spoken, but he didn't write it down." My heart sank. Pause. It felt as though the ground beneath me had disappeared. How could my own uncle, the man who ate at our table, who shared our celebrations, twist my father's final promise into nothing? Within weeks, the truth surfaced like a nightmare. My uncle had forged documents, papers that bore my father's name, his signature, his supposed wishes. According to those false papers, the land was no longer mine. It belonged to him. Angry rage burned inside me. "How could you do this?" I shouted, my voice trembling. "He was your brother. He trusted you." But greed had already consumed his heart. He looked at me, not as family, not as blood, but as an obstacle to wealth. "The world doesn't run on promises, boy. It runs on power, and I have it now." Sad, I felt betrayed in a way words cannot describe. This was not an outsider stealing from me. This was my blood, my family. The very people who should have protected my father's wishes were the ones stabbing me in the back. Nights became unbearable. I would sit alone in the silence of my empty house, hearing my father's voice echoing in my mind. "This land will always be yours." The betrayal cut deeper than any wound, because it didn't come from enemies. It came from those I once called family. Moved friends told me to move on, to forget the land, to rebuild elsewhere. But how do you move on from betrayal? How do you forget the last promise of your dying father? How do you erase the pain when the scars are carved into your very soul? The land wasn't just about soil or property. It was about memory, about loyalty, about trust, and now all of that had been stolen with ink on forged paper. Pause. Betrayal is heavy. It suffocates. It isolates. It makes you question everything. Every word spoken, every hug shared, every smile given. You wonder, were they ever real? And as I stood watching my uncle walk on the soil that was meant to be mine, I realized something terrible. Sometimes the greatest enemies are not outside your walls. They are sitting at your own table. Soft. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Whispers of Truth. Like, share, and comment to support us. Your support means everything,